The private jet sat motionless on the runway beneath a gray morning sky at a busy airport outside Dallas, Texas. Engineers had spent 3 frustrating days trying to bring its engines back to life. Executives paced across the tarmac, millions of dollars were being lost every passing hour, and reporters had already begun whispering that one of America's biggest aviation companies had suffered a humiliating failure. Standing in the middle of the crowd with folded arms was billionaire CEO Nathan Collins, whose confidence was as famous as his fortune. Then, from the edge of the hangar, walked a quiet single father carrying nothing more than an old toolbox that looked older than his pickup truck. People laughed before he even reached the aircraft. 5 minutes later, the impossible happened. Before we continue, if you believe kindness matters more than appearances and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that restore faith in humanity. The man with the worn toolbox was Michael Carter, a 42-year-old aircraft mechanic who had spent most of his life solving problems no one else could explain. Years earlier, he had worked for one of the country's largest aviation maintenance companies until layoffs destroyed hundreds of jobs. Around the same time, tragedy struck when his wife passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him to raise his 9-year-old son, Noah, alone. Every morning before sunrise, Michael prepared breakfast, packed school lunches, and drove Noah to school before spending long days repairing small charter planes just to keep food on the table. Money was always short, but love never was. Noah admired his father because he never complained, even when life seemed unfair. Michael believed that machines spoke a language few people truly listened to. While others relied only on expensive computers, he trusted experience, patience, and careful observation. Every unusual vibration, every faint smell of fuel, every tiny scratch told part of the story. He often reminded Noah that every problem has an answer if someone is willing to look long enough without giving up. That particular morning, Michael had been delivering replacement parts to another hangar when he noticed the unusual activity around the luxury jet. Security guards blocked the area while technicians argued beside open engine panels. Curious, Michael quietly watched from a distance until one exhausted mechanic recognized him from years ago. The mechanic admitted they had exhausted every diagnostic system available. Nothing explained why the aircraft refused to start. Word quickly reached CEO Nathan Collins that an unemployed mechanic claimed he wanted to take a look. Nathan glanced toward Michael's faded jeans, work boots covered in grease, and dented toolbox. The billionaire couldn't hide his amusement. To him, appearances determined ability. He believed successful people looked successful. With dozens of employees watching, Nathan made a bold announcement. He declared that if the unknown mechanic could start the jet within 5 minutes, he would personally pay him $1 million. But if he failed, he would leave immediately without wasting anyone else's time. The crowd burst into laughter. Some employees even started recording with their phones, expecting another embarrassing failure. Michael simply nodded. He wasn't interested in proving anyone wrong. He only wanted to solve the problem. He slowly climbed the aircraft stairs, entered the cockpit, and sat silently for almost a minute. Instead of touching anything immediately, he closed his eyes and listened. Then he walked around the cabin, opened one maintenance panel, inspected several wiring bundles, and gently touched a small hydraulic control assembly beneath the floor access compartment. He smiled almost invisibly, returned to the cockpit, adjusted one overlooked circuit connection, reset a hidden backup relay, and signaled the ground crew. Exactly 5 minutes after stepping aboard, both engines roared to life. The runway echoed with the unmistakable sound of 2 powerful turbines reaching stable operation. Every conversation stopped instantly. Birds scattered into the sky as the jet's engines settled into a smooth rhythm that dozens of experts had failed to achieve over 3 long days. Silence spread across the crowd before stunned applause slowly erupted. Nathan Collins stared at the aircraft as though reality itself had betrayed him. His engineers rushed toward the cockpit, checking every instrument in disbelief. Every system displayed normal readings. Nothing appeared damaged anymore. Michael calmly climbed down the stairs, picked up his old toolbox, and prepared to leave. The CEO stopped him before he reached the parking lot. Although Nathan tried to hide his shock, his voice revealed genuine curiosity. He wanted to know how Michael had solved a problem that had defeated an entire engineering department. Michael explained that everyone had trusted computers so completely they ignored a tiny mechanical relay that occasionally shifted under rare vibration conditions. The aircraft wasn't broken at all. One overlooked safety circuit had prevented the engines from completing their startup sequence. Years of practical experience had taught him exactly where to look. The engineers inspected the relay and confirmed every word was true. Nathan had lost his million-dollar bet. For the first time in years, the billionaire publicly admitted he had judged someone by appearances instead of character. News crews captured the remarkable moment as Nathan transferred the promised $1 million without hesitation. The story exploded across television stations and social media throughout America. Headlines celebrated the humble mechanic who accomplished in 5 minutes what experts couldn't achieve in 3 days. But what moved people most wasn't the money. It was what Michael did next. Instead of buying expensive cars or a luxury mansion, he quietly paid off his modest home. He created a college fund for Noah. Then he invested the remaining money into opening an independent aviation training center for struggling mechanics who couldn't afford expensive certifications. His goal wasn't simply repairing airplanes. He wanted to rebuild lives. Young people from difficult backgrounds arrived hoping for opportunities they never believed possible. Veterans searching for new careers, single parents trying to support their families, and hard-working students eager to learn all found someone willing to teach them with patience and respect. Michael insisted that every student understood one lesson before touching an aircraft. Real skill begins with humility. Months later, Nathan Collins visited the training center without reporters or photographers. Walking through classrooms filled with eager students, he realized Michael had built something far more valuable than a business. He had created hope. Nathan quietly donated millions of dollars to expand the school into several states. This time he asked for no publicity. He admitted privately that Michael had changed the way he viewed leadership forever. Success was never about proving others were small. True success was helping others discover how capable they already were. Meanwhile, Noah watched his father become a respected mentor admired across the aviation industry. Yet every evening, despite the growing success, Michael still helped Noah with homework, cooked dinner, and reminded him that family always came before money. Years later, Noah graduated as an aerospace engineer, inspired not by wealth or fame but by the quiet example his father had lived every single day. At the graduation ceremony, Noah spoke about the old dented toolbox that still sat in their garage. He explained that it reminded him the greatest tools a person could ever carry were integrity, patience, compassion, and the courage to keep trying when everyone else had already given up. Many people remembered the million-dollar bet, but those who truly understood the story remembered something much greater. One arrogant assumption had nearly hidden extraordinary talent. One act of humility uncovered it. A father who had lost almost everything never allowed bitterness to define him. Instead, he transformed hardship into opportunity for thousands of strangers. The jet had started in 5 minutes. But the real miracle wasn't an aircraft engine. It was the chain of kindness, respect, and second chances that began the moment someone finally looked beyond worn clothes and an old toolbox. Before we reach the end, we'd love to hear from you. Please comment with this simple message: character is worth more than appearance. If this story touched your heart, reminded you never to judge someone by what they wear or what they own, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue sharing inspiring stories that remind the world that kindness, humility, and hope can still change lives. Because sometimes the greatest victories aren't measured by money, applause, or million-dollar bets. Sometimes they begin with a tired single father carrying an old toolbox, believing that doing the right thing is always worth more than proving someone wrong. And long after the engines faded into the distance, the sound people remembered most was the quiet triumph of a good man whose heart never stopped believing that every problem and every person deserved one more chance.